kurz vor Wiesloch sein.
Also Pferde hätten das so schnell nicht geschafft, oder? Und selbst wenn, dann hätten sie spätestens jetzt ausgetauscht werden müssen. Was ist los?
Wir haben zu wenig Treibstoff mitgenommen.
Grüß Gott.
Grüß Gott.
Sie wünschen?
Führen Sie Fleckenwasser.
Da habe ich verschiedene Tinkturen.
Wir bräuchten etwas mit Ligroin.
Damit kann ich dienen.
Haben Sie noch mehr Flaschen da?
Wie viel wollen Sie denn?
Alle, die Sie haben.
Was ist Ihnen denn passiert?
Und wie nennt sich so ein...
Es ist ein Motorwagen. Mein Mann hat ihn gebaut. Karl Benz.
Pass auf.
Ich besorge dann schon mal Nachschub für die Rückfahrt.
Danke.
Stay with your brother.
Hello!
Is the pharmacist in here? I'm looking for 10 liters of ligroin.
You won't get those stains out of that dress. Better buy a new one.
It's not for my dress. It's for my carriage.
Are you trying to poison your horses?
Do you have 10 liters or not?
Mannheim, Germany, 1888. Engineer Carl Benz decided to invent the horseless carriage when he was just 15. 20 years later, he's still working on it.
I think there's no question that Carl Benz was a genius, almost obsessed. He was determined that he was going to be the person that was going to crack the horseless carriage.
His latest prototype has a one-cylinder internal combustion engine and a single forward gear. Carl calls it the Patent Motor Wagen, but the outside world knows nothing about it.
The problem with Carl was he was an absolutely hopeless businessman, so he had no idea as to how he could go about and commercialize his invention.
Carl's wife, Bertha, is determined that his ideas reach the public. Their great-granddaughter, Bertha Benz, knows the story well.
I must tell you the role of my great-grandmother. She always was pushing him, and that he had to do this invention and he had to exercise this invention.
And Bertha offers more than moral support. She stakes her fortune on Carl.
She saw something in Carl that was special and exciting and different. So she actually used her money back in the 1880s to back him.
Bertha Benz was an amazing woman, my kind of woman.
She was a daredevil, a risk taker, someone who I think also gets excited about new things.
But Carl and Bertha face some big obstacles. Germany's Kaiser loves horses. He says the idea of replacing them with a machine is not only foolish, it's unpatriotic. And that's not all.
You also had the church, who had decreed and were very conservative in those days. You know, the horseless carriage was actually the work of the devil. So you can imagine that this was not a good environment to be the person inventing the horseless carriage.
Up against such opposition, Carl stays in his workshop, too timid to unveil his latest invention.
He wasn't confident enough to actually go out and try this thing and believe in himself.
But Bertha believes and takes action without telling him.
Bertha gets up, she gets the car, and she doesn't just go out around the courtyard. She goes on a 65-mile journey. All the more incredible if you remember there's no roads, there's no petrol station, no garages. There's this one woman in this open-top carriage going on the adventure of a lifetime.
This is a world where most travel is on foot, on bike, or by horse. But Bertha has a vision. That the car, her husband's car, and not the horse, is how we will all travel in the future.
She created history. It was the first long-distance drive by an automobile. She was a pioneer in the fact that she made that 60-mile trip from Mannheim to Pforzheim. And it's about 106 kilometers, and she did it without telling anyone.
Bertha was a very decisive woman with a lot of creativity. Without her, the first automobile and its success wouldn't have been possible. Carl Benz himself said about the marriage, "With her, an idealistic person was stepping at my side. She knows what she wants, from small details up to the big and bright issues." That proves that she was a visionary who believed that the invention of her husband will change the world.
Bertha obviously had a very strong personality. She was not only the so-called important wife behind an important husband. No, she was actually pushing to make things happen, to get through hard times and to try harder each time.
She was a survivor. She was a woman of wealth, and she spent her dowry, a lot of money was put into this newfangled contraption called the automobile. But she was the one that really promoted it. She was the one that got it noticed. Even after it was built and the patent was there and they began to advertise, nobody wanted to buy it. The public didn't realize what they had. It was she that put it on the map.
She enabled Karl to run his own company and pursue his invention by providing the financial basis. She invested both her inheritance from her parents, even before they got married, and her personality to make a technological breakthrough possible.
Bertha Benz and her two sons, Richard and Eugen, were proving the road capability of the newly invented automobile. This did not only reaffirm Karl's work, but also made the Benz Patent Motor Car a success in the market.
Talk about moxie. These were roads that were just traveled by horses and carriages with deep ruts. And also, the automotive transport that Benz made had 2 gears. Those 2 gears were not sufficient to get it up some of the grades of the hills. So one of the things that he improved on when she got back was to create a 3rd gear so the automobile could go up hills.
If a problem occurred, she fixed it. She stopped at a pharmacy in Wiesloch, which became the first gas station of the world, to buy ligroin, a cleaning fluid that kept the car running. Or at a shoemaker shop to have him repair the leather on a brake shoe. She used the pin of her head to clean a clogged fuel line. She resolved a problem of an ignition wire by using her garter as an insulator.
We owe a great deal of debt to her because she was brave enough to get this thing to market. She was brave enough to make sure that people noticed it. And she was brave enough not only to conceptualize it, but do it herself in a long dress, probably in a very constricting corset, with 2 teenage sons as her associates.